Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajrakacharya Ashtotara Shatashi Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so 7th canto, The Science of God, Chapter 3, Hiranyakashipu's plan to become immortal. Text 31. Tvam eva kalo nimisho janaram ayur lavad yavavaha yavavai chinoshi kutosta atma parameshta ajo mahang tvam jivalokasya cha jiva atma tvam eva kalo nimisho jananam ayur lavad yava yavai chinoshi kutosta atma parameshtya jo mahangsh tvam jiva lokasya cha jiva atma Tvam eva kalo nimisho jananam. Ayor lavad yeva excuse me. Ayor lavad yava yavai chinoshi. Kutasta atma parameshya jo mahangsh. Tam jiva lokasya cha jiva atma. Tam eva kalo nimisho jananam. Ayor lavad yava yavai chinoshi. Kutasta atma parameshya jo mahangsh. Tam jiva lokasya cha jiva atma. Okay. Tvam, you, eva, indeed, kalaha, unlimited time, animishaha, unblinking, jananam, of all living entities, ayuhu, the duration of life, lava adi, consisting of seconds, moments, minutes, and hours. Avayavai, by different parts. Chinoshi, reduce. Kutasta, without being affected by anything. Atma, Supersoul. Parameshti, the Supreme Lord. Ajaha, the unborn. Mahan, the great. Tvam, you. Jiva lokasya, of this material world. Cha, also. Jivaha, the cause of life. Atma, Supersoul. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O my Lord, your Lordship is eternally awake, seeing everything that happens. As eternal time, you reduce the duration of life for all living entities through your different parts, such as moments, seconds, minutes, and hours. Nonetheless, you are unchanged, resting in one place as the Supersoul, Witness and Supreme Lord, the birthless, all-pervading controller who is the cause of life for all living entities. Purport. In this verse, the word kutastha is very important. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated everywhere, He is the central unchanging point. Ishvara savabhutanam hrideshu janatishtati. The Lord is situated in full in the core of everyone's heart, as is indicated in the Upanishads by the word ekatvam. Although there are millions and millions of living entities, the Lord is situated as the Supreme Soul, as the Supersoul, in every one of them. Nonetheless, He is one in many, as stated in the Brahma Samhita. Advaitam achyutam anadim anantarupam. He has many forms, yet they are Advaita, one and unchanging. Since the Lord is all-pervading, He is also situated in eternal time. The living entities are described as part and parcels of the Lord because He is the life and soul of all living entities. Being situated within their hearts as the antaryāmī, as enunciated by the philosophy of inconceivable oneness and difference, acintya-bhedābheda. Since the living entities are part of God, they are one in quality with the Lord, yet they are different from Him. The Supersoul, who inspires all living entities to act, is one and changeless. There are varieties of subjects, objects, and activities, yet the Lord is one. Om acintya-bhedābheda gananjana shlakya chakshulamadatyammena tasmai shri gurave namaha Kam karitivachalam pangam langate gidam yakripatam aham vande shri gurundin tadadam vancha kavdribishcha kripasinabhevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you. Translation again. O my Lord, your Lordship is eternally awake, seeing everything that happens. As eternal time, you reduce the duration of life for all living entities through your different parts, such as moments, seconds, minutes, and hours. Nonetheless, you are unchanged, resting in one place as the Supersoul, Witness and Supreme Lord, the birthless, all-pervading controller who is the cause of life for all living entities. So Krishna is eternally awake. There's some idea that Krishna never sleeps. There's also some idea that Maya never sleeps. And say Krishna's always calling, and Maya's always calling. At least within the material world. Say Maya's always calling. There's always some call from Maya, or you could say Maya's representatives. There's always some call. And there's always some call from Krishna. And there should be some call from Krishna's representatives. Of course, Krishna's pure representatives, there's always some call. Like Srila Prabhupada and others, they're always calling the jivas back to Krishna's service. And Srila Prabhupada and such devotees, they're wanting us to become like them in the sense of, you could say, always calling the jivas towards Krishna's service. Krishna's calling in the form of Lord Chaitanya. He comes and he's calling the jivas back, right? Jiv Jago, go to Chandra Bole. You've been sleeping in the lap of the witch Maya for so long. It's like a bad shelter, or Durashaya, bad shelter. And you could say there might be some temporary comfort there, some relief or whatever, but it's just bad shelter because she's a witch. I mean, it's not like a loving mother or something. And that's the thing. It's like people are taking shelter of the witch of Maya versus the loving mother of Srimati Radharani, right? So in terms of Krishna always being awake, there's Shastric reference for this also, because it says that Krishna, he goes and he acts like he goes to sleep, right? Mother Yashoda puts him to sleep, but it's just like an act, and then he actually goes off into the forest. He sneaks away from home, goes into the forest, and has the right Rasa Leela dance. He's dancing with the devotees, pure devotees. cowherd damsels of Vrindavan. It's in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, at least one place it's stated that this whole idea, he acts like he rests, but he actually sneaks out and he comes back in the morning. Acts like he's sleeping. So yeah, Krishna, he's eternally awake, and he's always calling the living entities. The pure representatives are also calling the living entities. And you could say they're very, yeah. And he sees everything, seeing everything that happens. And as eternal time, he's reducing the duration of life for all living entities through moments, seconds, minutes, and hours. So the time's ticking, clock is ticking, doesn't stop, can't stop time. Or you could say, different results of time. It's just that's unstoppable. You may be able to stop other things, like your car when you're driving, or you may be able to avoid your taxes or whatever it may be, but you can't avoid the force of time. No one could avoid the force of time, destroying things. But Krishna is unchanged, is witness and Supreme Lord, birthless, all-pervading controller, who is the cause of life for all living entities. So he's unchanged. Kutosta, although Krishna is situated everywhere, he is central, unchanging point. Which sometimes these Buddhists and other such persons, they have a hard time accepting or understanding that, okay, if the absolute truth is supposed to be unchanging, right? There's no change, it's eternal. To be eternal means there's no change. It's not like in the material world, things are temporary and it goes through all these changes. So in the spiritual world, or the afterlife, the Vaishnava conception is that there's a spiritual world, and it seems that there's change going on there, right? The sun is rising, the sun is setting, the moon is rising, the moon is setting. There's different seasons, there's all types of stuff going on. Change. So people sometimes have a problem with that. Like, oh, if it's eternal, then why is it, there's all this change going on? But of course, how things operate in the material world, like frog in the well, everything we have to be able to see everything, but people are seeing things from their limited perspective. And just because there are certain laws that are governing this material world doesn't mean that those same laws have to govern the spiritual world. So there's different, you could say, laws, if you want to call them that are operating in the spiritual world that are different than here. And after all, this is a distorted reflection. It's not an absolute reflection. But anyways, sometimes I have difficulties with that. I mean, we would say that the Vaishnavas say there's underlying reasons why they have difficulties. There's they don't really, there's a lot of, okay, you could say there's a lot of they want logical explanations behind things. Okay, fine, that's one thing, but all right, that's good. People want logical explanations behind things. But another thing is that so much of the philosophies of this world, they're just, you could say, philosophies that are designed just to really ignore or act like Krishna's not there. They're godless philosophies for a reason, because they don't like the idea of God. They don't like the idea of having to, you could say, answer to someone. Okay, if I do something, that means there might be some reaction. They don't like that, for example. One reason they don't like the conception. Or like, one devotee was saying that modern Hinduism is like a very elaborate way to not surrender to Krishna. It's like very elaborate, you know. You do this puja, you do that puja, you do this, you do that, you do so many things, so many rituals, and then don't surrender. So but Krishna, there are millions and millions of living entities. Prabhupada says in the purport, the Lord is situated as a supersoul in every one of them. So it's quite amazing. Millions of living entities, and Krishna is in the heart there. So when we think about the supersoul, what do we think of? You could say, what are some characteristics of the supersoul, or some qualities that the supersoul has? Does anybody want to? Yes. Okay. Any other?
Gives inspiration or direction.
Yeah. What other things? Yes. So he's all-knowing, merciful, giving direction. Funny? All right. What else? What other things? Based on the description of the souls, the super soul as a bird, as one bird, the analogy is given, and then the soul as another bird. Yeah, witnessing. But based on that, he's there, and there's a very important quality that Krishna has. Yeah, patient. He's very patient. Because the super soul's just, he's there, and then the soul's there, but the soul's not turning to him. Just like opposite, turning away from him. But the super soul's there, and he's actually waiting. So he's very patient. I mean, it's just like unbelievably patient. I mean, just like for someone to wait, like you take a phone, you have to call some company or something. You have to sit there and wait. Airline company, for example, or whatever the company is. You have to sit there and wait on. I mean, nobody likes doing that. It's just like very. It's very disturbing, actually. You sit there and wait, and you don't know when the person's going to answer. You don't know when the person's going to answer the phone. And we're just talking. That's like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hour deal, whatever it may be. But or waiting in line. I mean, who likes doing that? Waiting in. I mean, nobody likes waiting in line. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody, but generally, it's considered like a very terrible thing to do. You have to wait in line. What about waiting at the border? You know, to cross into San Diego. I think Dharma Setu and Prabhu and Giridhara Priya, they went to this wedding of Ujeshwari's son, and they're coming back the same night. I think they waited like, what was it? Yeah, they're waiting for like 5 hours just after driving 3 hours from Ensenada. And it's just like, somebody really likes doing that. And I said, well, I told Giridhara Priya, well, at least you got to get to know each other a little better, you know. They said they weren't talking much, but so I guess it didn't really, that didn't happen. But Krishna, he's there as a super soul, just waiting patiently. I mean, it's quite amazing, actually. If you think about it. If you talk about like moments and hours and years and even lifetimes, just like waiting. So, what is it? Constant waiting? Is that what you mean? You mean by like constant, he's constantly waiting? Is that?
Incessant means equal to everyone.
Equal to everyone.
Okay, consistent. Consistent?
Like proper, consistent?
Well, we get the idea, equal to everyone. So, and it's not that he's just waiting there, like patiently, but he's actually also trying to help actively. He sends his representatives, right? It says that the spiritual master's the Supersoul, means you could say external form of the Supersoul. He's not God, but means he's very servitor, personality of Godhead, right? So the spiritual master's there, the devotees are there. He's trying to, right? The conscience. Okay, hey, don't move this direction. Don't move this direction. Of course, sometimes if we're really covered, like super covered, then when people become really covered, their conscience is just like dead. They can't. It's not dead, but they can't hear it. It's completely blocked. But he's trying to help actively, also, and this helping of the Supersoul, it's not some kind of lazy endeavor. It's not that he's just kind of like, oh, all right, well, when I feel like it, or like somebody in the mode of ignorance or something. I mean, he's persistent. So he's like patient and persistent, persistently trying to help. So now devotees, you could say, okay, the spiritual master is seen to be the external representative. It means the Supersoul comes out in the form of the spiritual master. So in other words, he is like Krishna in the sense that he's also very patient. Means waiting for the disciple to, really take to the process, more to surrender. And he's also persistently trying to help the disciple by his example, by his instructions, by his prayers, and so on. But one thing to consider is that Yadidekataka Krishna Upadesh, that Lord Chaitanya says that everyone should become gurus. Doesn't necessarily mean Diksha Guru, right? No one wants to do that one. There's a big guru shortage, actually. I've been traveling around, went to Suriname and Guyana, which are, it's an interesting place. It's in South America, but it's a bunch of like 50% Indian, 50% Africans, because there's a whole history. The Dutch brought the Africans and they brought the Indians to Suriname. They speak Dutch there and English. And then Guyana, Africans and Indians were brought as well. So that's pretty much who's there. And then there's some very small percentage of indigenous people. So yeah, there, Trinidad. But yeah, I mean, there's a big guru shortage. Means the devotees who've been initiating devotees for years and years and years and years and years, they're getting, some of them are having severe health issues, like severe to the point they just cannot travel. And some are having severe health issues that they don't want to accept any more disciples. It's just they've accepted a lot, and some are some are their body's sick, some of them are old and they're not traveling. Some of them left their body. I mean, it's so and then you have a whole bunch of devotees, like a big population of devotees, which some you could argue may not have the strength that it takes to initiate devotees, and some just do not want to do it. So it's an interesting situation. Same in Czech Republic and Germany. I was visiting there. Kadamba Kanana Swami was initiating a bunch of devotees over there. I mean, he was really putting a lot of energy into those places over there, but he left. And then you have Dhanivir Goswami, who was also interesting enough in Guyana and Suriname and Trinidad. But he's not traveling now. He has this, what is it called? Parkinson's. But he was also in Czech, in Germany. He was a guru there. So you have a big guru shortage in Czech and Germany, these places, and also, and then devotees are talking about the whole of South America, which Jayapataka Swami was initiating a bunch of devotees down there. And of course, he's still traveling, but he's reducing. So, yeah, you have this shortage going on. And you have shortage of, anyways, a whole bunch of other kind of things. And then you have Shiksha gurus. Okay, we're hoping that they're there in communities, right? Some Shiksha gurus to take shelter of. But the thing is that there has to be people who become Shiksha gurus, who become Diksha gurus. There has to be personalities to do that, devotees to do that. Now, even if we don't do it on Diksha guru, but we could be Shiksha gurus for others. It's important. And therefore I'm bringing up this idea that, okay, there's the Supersoul, he's very patient, he's very persistent. The spiritual master is very patient and persistent. And the idea is that we're also supposed to become like that in relation to helping people in whatever way we can, big or small or medium or whatever, being some type of help towards people to help encourage them in their Krishna consciousness. And we have to become patient and persistent in that. And out of the two, we would say, my conviction is that persistence is more important because in some ways, and when you're trying to help people, you're kind of forced to be patient because you can't force somebody to, hey, Prabhu, chant your rounds, hey, follow the principles, hey, surrender to Krishna. I mean, you may say that, but ultimately you're forced to be patient. But you're not forced to be persistent because you could give up on people. So, or you could give up trying. Not that necessarily give up on certain individuals, but you could just give up trying. And that's a big problem, to give up trying to help spread Krishna consciousness. What's the use? Who's going to become devotees? Or since the 80s we haven't had much action, means we haven't had many people become devotees, so But persistence is very important. So persistent book distribution, persistent Harinam, persistent outreach programs, persistent talking to people, persistent calling people, persistent giving people attention, giving people prasadam. Persistence is very important. Because from that, there will be people who become devotees. But without persistence, everything just everything dwindles. And then it comes to a point where devotees are just struggling. The beautiful Srila Prabhupada and the devotees, they've so many places they've bought land, beautiful pieces of land, beautiful temples. Beautiful, like here in this temple room, on these grounds, beautiful all over the world. But without persistence, and attention, then these beautiful properties, they just deteriorate. Things fall apart. And you let one thing fall apart, another thing fall apart, another thing fall apart, another thing fall apart, and before you know, there's just a rundown place. And then it's just a struggle to take care of the deities, just struggling to take care of the deities, struggling to cook the offerings, and not getting much attendance at the programs, and not doing much high number book distribution, and then you're wondering, how did we get ourselves into this situation? Due to lack of persistence. There's a problem in the temple. Okay, this is falling apart, that's falling apart. We have to fix it. Somebody has to fix it. somebody has to make sure things don't fall apart. And as a group, actually, we should do that, not just one person. I mean, as a group, we should look and what is falling apart and fix it. Like Srila Prabhupada told Tamal Krishna Goswami about Juhu property, he said, "Do not let 1 inch of my property deteriorate." So, so that's there, and then you have. But without persistence, then everything eventually just becomes a struggle, and it's just like a maintenance program. We're just like hardly maintaining the building, hardly maintaining the deity worship, and not at all preaching to the degree we could. So that is the challenge of religious movements over time. The people tend to not be persistent with their endeavors. And if you don't have, and if they don't learn how to do that, then yeah, there's big trouble. So in other words, people, they have to, yeah, I mean, as members of the Hare Krishna movement, as followers of Srila Prabhupada, it's so important that everyone learns the art of persistence. I mean, like Srila Prabhupada, he was like very persistent. I mean, very determined to do this, to do that, to open this temple, to open that temple, preach here, preach there. Very persistent. He wasn't giving up. And he taught people how to do that. And if that becomes lost, then, I mean, it's not automatic. People are not going to walk in these doors automatically. It's Kali Yuga. They have a lot more, so-called important things to do. People are not going to walk in the Krishna lounge. People are not going to become initiated. People are not going to, I mean, there needs a lot of persistence to make things happen. So yeah, the Supersoul has this amazing ability to persistently help the living entities and patiently, persistently within our hearts. So if Krishna, if we want that, then Krishna will help us. Krishna will give us the intelligence to do what we need to do to help contribute to the maintenance, and not just the maintenance, but the growth of the Hare Krishna movement. At least, Krishna will help us. Krishna will give us the intelligence. He'll give us the strength. He'll give us the determination. He'll give us everything we need, right? And yeah, there's a great. It's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity that we have. So does anybody have any question?
Thank you for the class. I have some idea.
Sorry, just like one. Just like, for example, like online presence. I mean, if a temple doesn't have an online presence, people look up Hare Krishna temple. Like, what goes on at the Hare Krishna? If there's no online presence, it's like if you search for, let's just say, talking just from a purely, you could say, Indian congregation point of view, which we don't want to neglect them either. We don't want to neglect anyone, but just from a purely Indian congregation point of view. Okay, they look up Hare Krishna temple, and if they have to search 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and they can't find information about when the Sunday feast is, that's a problem. I mean, and then, so not many people are going to come because, okay, there are Hindus around, there are Indian people around, and if they're they want to know, when's, because they may be familiar with Hare Krishna temples doing their Sunday feast thing. But if you can't find it there, that's a problem. Now, okay, that's one thing, but online presence, okay, you got the information there, okay, fine, but how intelligent is it put together? How artistic is it? How clear is it? How good are the reviews? And so on. It makes a difference. And then, of course, you have the whole world of follow-up. Like Naveen and Nirada said, well, we're great at introducing people to Krishna consciousness, means giving them books or whatever it might be. And then he said, in terms of anyways, he gave to the point, he said, oh, follow-up? He said, terrible. Means following up with people, okay, getting their numbers, getting their contact, following up with them. It's like people need that to go along with the process. So like Bhaktivedanta Manor, for example, they have like thousands people coming on Janmashtami. It's some ridiculous number. It's just like really insane number of people. And they get everybody's contact. They get everybody's phone number. Everybody, they know where they live, what their birthday is. They get everything, and then they follow up with these people somehow or other. I'm not sure how you follow up with so many people, but so Naveen and Nirada Prabhu is writing a book, by the way. I got something. He sent me a message, and I said, "When is it going to be done?" He said, "About a year." I think it's called like Sankirtan Amrita or something like that. But I thought that was really nice. BBT publication. So I'm very happy for you. So, yes, sorry.
No, it's very nice. It's an important topic. And I want to see on this topic from another side that I agree with you that we should be persistent.
Yes.
And but this is how to say. I want to see from another side because of when the person something desire or want to do, then he will be find opportunities. And if he determined, he will find. And when someone force us to do something, this is like
terrible.
Not terrible, but this is like
not inspiring.
Yes, not inspired. And sometimes person in this way. How to say, his habits like lazy. He wait until someone push me.
Yeah.
But when we fire up desire on person, that it is very important for him, and then person will be determined and will be look for opportunities.
Yeah.
This is how to say. I remember like Gopal Krishna Goswami. He preaching in villages in India, and he after lecture many Hindus ask me, please how to say.
Bless me. Bless me?
No. Please give me opportunity to be join ISKCON. He said, you follow principles, you do this, no, it's not possible. And then, oh, please, please, I will do. So, in Western world, we can see that this is like, please come here, oh, this is very nice, but soul not want. This is very lazy, very deep sleep. And this is my, how to say, I want to maybe discuss what it take place, and we can see what we should do.
Oh yeah, it's not so easy to, you could say, wake someone up. It's people, they don't want to be woken up. Or they may think they want to wake up, but then you talk to them about what it means to be awake, and they say, oh no, I don't want to do that. Like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples going to London, and Marquis Zetlin, Lord Zetlin said, oh, can you make me a Brahmin? I said, yeah, we can make you a Brahmin. You just have to follow these principles. And he described the 4 principles as impossible. So in other words, he gave up. He was thinking he wanted to be awake, but he said, I'd rather sleep, in ignorance. So yeah, it's challenging. I mean, like you said, if somebody is enthusiastic, then they'll find opportunities to do the right thing. And while I was talking with one devotee, he was in Trinidad, and anyways, he was sweeping the floor. He's a disciple of Guru Prasad Swami. Guru Prasad Swami has a lot of disciples in those areas also. But he doesn't want to accept any more disciples because his health and this and that. Anyway, so this devotee was cleaning the floor, then we started talking, and he was like 76 or something like that. He's elderly, and he was saying, oh yeah, I'm on my way out and this and that, but I just want to tell you what I've learned throughout all these years. And then he was really really stressing, you shouldn't offend devotees. He said even if the devotees are troublesome or et cetera, how devotees could be, he said you shouldn't offend them. You should just learn how to respect everybody. Very, very important. And he said you should always be sincere. You should be sincere in your spiritual practices. Sincerity is very important. But one thing he brought up was that he was reading some prayer from Narottam Das Thakur. Narottam Das Thakur was praying to Krishna, and he was saying, Krishna, please do not please remove these obstacles in my path. And this devotee was making the point that in Krishna consciousness one could give so many reasons why they cannot do this or why they cannot do that, why they cannot engage in Krishna consciousness. There's so many reasons that could be there. And he was making the point that Krishna is a Supersoul. He'll give us a lot of intelligence how to do that. Oh, I can't serve because I can't go on hard on whatever my foot or this or that. I'm too busy, whatever it is. There's so many reasons. So he was saying that it's so wonderful to pray that Krishna, please do not let myself, you could say, come up with all of these intelligent reasons why not to engage in your service. Because people do that all the time. People do that all the time. They say, I have a family, right? I have a wife, I have children, so I can't fully surrender, but they can. Or I can't do this, or I can't do that, I can't do something, but they can. Or I can't take sannyas, for example, because this reason, or whatever it may be. But actually they could, if they tried. But they're just, the mind is creating all these obstacles. So the prayer was, do not let my mind create these obstacles or these excuses not to engage in your service. It's a very interesting point, because it happens very easily. But, I mean, in terms of waking people up, I mean, I mean, Prabhupada, right? I mean, he's always stressed the chanting of the holy names. That's the main, right? Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam. There's no other way, there's no other way. No other way than chanting. So for ourselves to wake up, the chanting process is there, and for people. So we give them the opportunity, Harinam, give them the opportunity to come into the temple. And therefore it's very important that we, as chanters or as propagators of the holy name, we try to come to the point of purely chanting. You have offensive chanting, and then you have giving up the offenses, and then you have pure chanting. So at least we should be trying to give up the offenses and trying to reach the pure stage of chanting, because that will have more effect on terms of, like, you know, waking somebody up. Like if you give someone a little, like this, like kind of, I was just thinking in my mind, just like if you try to wake someone up like this, they'll wake up, you know, and they're like really deeply asleep, versus if you give some strength, you know, wake up. So sometimes devotees, they compare, my chanting, I felt I was shooting blanks, you know, blanks. It's not actual like bullet. So anyways, that's some.
I want to, this interesting topic that you mentioned about that Paramatma, we have many desires in our heart, deep heart, and we can't see it. This is so big, like iceberg. We can see only high, but on top, but inside we can see. And so even if we praying from the mind level, I want to this. No, even in spiritual life, I want, how to say, give up these obstacles or something like this. But we should understand that our desire inside is to satisfaction, and Krishna knows about it, and so how to say, he fulfills desires of the heart, not mind. And so, and you mentioned that this chanting should be pure, because of only this chanting change heart. But if no changes heart, this is only we dress these clothes and show that we chanting. This is not change heart, and no desire to serve Krishna.
Yeah.
And so this also big topic.
Yeah. Yep, we need to change the cloth, change the heart, both. Yes.
First of all, welcome back. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Kind of related to what you guys were talking about, I think one thing that Prabhupada really did was to inspire the devotees to be persistent. And he did that in a variety of ways, including just setting an example. But he had a lot of techniques, it seemed like, to really inspire his devotees to be persistent and determined and to get things done.
Yeah. I mean, Prabhupada is able to do that. I mean, so many reasons, but his purity is the force. So, yes.
Also, I would say that persistence, yeah, you're saying, but enthusiasm behind that.
Yeah.
But what goes behind enthusiasm? How to get people enthusiastic? I think he kind of touched upon it, saying Prabhupada always had a mission, and he had goals, right? Oh, to do this and that, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's what devotees should also do. They should always come back and analyze, what is it how do they want to advance, or what they want to do next,
Yeah.
That way they can keep themselves motivated and enthusiastic, right?
Yeah. Prabhupada always had some new plan in mind,
Yeah.
something he was trying to execute.
I think we should all do that.
Buy
Oh,
this property, but build this temple, build that temple, distribute so many books. He always had some thing going on. So yeah, it's important that, I mean, the mission's there. If we study and hear carefully, the mission's there. The mission objectives are there. Now, how we want to contribute to that is another thing. But yeah, it's good to have personal goals, good to have goals on a collective level.
Yeah, because I mean, because if you don't, then you can eventually become stagnant, and
Yes.
and you kind of like, oh, you're just doing things for doing them, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good point. All right.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, sir. Please give your comment.
It's not a comment, it's
Oh,
a
no, a
question.
comment. Okay. All right, I might have a question for you too. Okay, go for it.
Yes, Balaram Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind and Abhat Pranams. Prabhu, the quote from the purport to the text you chose for today, text 31, goes as follows. Quote, since the living entities are part of God, they are one in quality with the Lord, yet they are different from Him. Unquote. So based on this quote, my question is, why is it that God, being all-powerful, didn't create for the purpose of having in His creation not only one in quality with Him, but also one in quantity with Him? Because being God, He can do, He is as powerful as capable of doing anything. Why is it that only in quality? Why not in quantity?
How many in quantity? Just one more or a few?
No, in quantity.
Like everyone?
Sorry?
Like everyone in quantity the same?
No, everyone the same as Him in quality and in quantity. All Krishnas.
Everyone.
Yes.
Well, I mean, one thing that's
because God is all powerful. Why not everyone being Krishna? Why jivas, parts and parcels, incarnations, expansions, etc.
Well, he
so
could
on.
do that. He could do that, but he didn't. It's an interesting question. I don't think I've ever heard that question exactly put in that way. If he's all powerful, why didn't he create everyone absolutely equally? I mean, one thing is that if everything's the same, if everyone's the same, then it really destroys rasa, or relationships. And that's a very important part of happiness. And Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, and the living entities are also enjoyers, not the supreme enjoyers, but enjoyers. So it really destroys the whole enjoyment factor. Everybody's just equal, everybody's the same. I mean, it really destroys that. So, yeah. So one thing is that there's all of these differences, like variety is the mother of enjoyment. There's all these differences for the purpose of enjoyment. Just like you may eat the same thing every day, which someone may say, I'm a simple guy, I could do that. Maybe you could. But I suspect if you were to have guavas every day, at one point you'd want some variety. Anyways, maybe. But generally, there needs to be some variety. There needs to some variety of life. Talking with different people, going different places, having different types of food and so on. There needs to be a variety. At least that's the mother of enjoyment. Different types of music, different types of melodies. So this variegatedness is enjoyment. And if everybody was just the same, if everyone was God absolute, then it would just
tedious.
yeah. So that's one thing that could be said about it. I'm sure there's other things.
Yeah, I liked it when you mentioned rasa, destroying rasa, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Prabhu.
thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.